Hey everyone, Dude is Jude here, back with another Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel video, and today we're gonna talk about the best board breakers that you should have on your deck. But before we begin, make sure you like the video if you enjoy this content, and you can subscribe too if you're looking for more Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel content. That would be awesome for your channel. And if you have any suggestions on your favorite board breakers or any board breakers that I might have missed, you can send them in the comment section below. Now let's get started. So first off, Dino Wrestler Pancratops. So Dino Wrestler Pancratops is a great going second card because you can summon this kind of like how you summon Cyber Dragon. So if your opponent controls more monsters than you do, you can special summon this card from your hand. And this is once per turn, so if you're planning to use back-to-back Pancratops, unfortunately that's not something you can do. But it's fine because Dino Rescue Pancratops is great because it has a quick effect removal where it tributes itself to destroy one card on your opponent's field. And this is great for forcing cards like Branded in Red for Branded Despia, which is very common in rank, along with Tri-Brigade Revolt. So you can force their activations too early because they usually wait until you have something set up to, and then they use Branded Red or Revolt to disrupt you. And they can't do that anymore because you blew it up with Pancratops. Now, another great thing about Pancratops is that it's also a pretty huge beat stick. It's 2,600 attack, and you can destroy a monster on the field with this, and then you can use the top one card effect. So really versatile going second card, great board breaker to have. And now that it's semi-limited, it's you can now draw into it more often than not. Okay. Next up, we have Lava Golem. So Lava Golem works as a double monster removal, the cost of your normal summon. And when your opponent has Lava Golem, they take 1,000 damage every standby phase. Although they would want this card out of their field as soon as possible. But still, you're giving them a 3,000 attack beat stick, so that's one thing you should worry about. But it's not too much though. Um, it's great because it removes two monsters for free, pretty much. And if you're a deck that doesn't really need normal summons, and like decks like Eldritch use this, and Eldritch usually just special summons their stuff, so that's one thing. You're okay with that. Going second, this is really good. Numerons use this as well because Numerons special summon their Numeron gates, which is annoying, but that's the way life is in Master. Next up, we have Kaiju. So Kaijus in general are very good because they allow you to remove one problem monster on the field. So this can tribute over any boss monster, most of the boss monsters. Although there are monsters that cannot be tributed that have those effects that lock you out of special summoning. So, but they're few and far in between. And usually you can Kaiju something. So that's really good. Best part about the Kaijus is that they have multiple attributes and types. So it makes them splashable in a lot of decks. So for example, I use Cyber Dragon. The kaiju I would like to have is Jizukuru because Jizukuru is a light attribute and a machine type. And I could easily search that using Cyber Repair Plat, and that allows me to use a kaiju easily on my turn. And while one monster removal is sometimes feels too few, removing one monster that is big trouble is always great in the game. So that's one thing you should keep in mind. And kaijus are very cheap. Only one kaiju in the main deck, or one kaiju in general, is ultra rare. The rest are rare to super rare. So you can really just splash them in your deck, and that's really cool. So next up we have Wing Dragon of Frostsphere mode, and this is a really crazy board breaker because if your opponent has at least three monsters, you can tribute three monsters and normal summon this card to their side of the field. and that's really insane. And um, you know, this usually imagines your opponent sets up a huge board, and you know you can just easily run over it thanks to a sphere mode. However, you cannot normal summon after this because it uses up your normal summon. So you need to have a deck that relies on special summoning, kind of like Lava Golem. So this can work in Eldritch, this can work in Numeron, this can work, I think, in some adventure variants, maybe if you're crafty enough. But yeah, sphere mode is really good, but the decks that can use it are limited, and you can't really use this if your opponent doesn't really summon a huge board, which Branded Despia doesn't really do that. Tri Brigade doesn't really do that. Sword Soul can have three monsters, but usually most boards have two, and so you know this can be dead in your hand in this meta. So I think a Lava Golem would be better, Pancake Tops would be better, Kaiju would be better than Sphere Mode. But however, this is really impactful if you have this. If you're going into Master Duel tournaments and siding, you can have this on your side deck, and it's really insane. Next up, we have Nibiru the Primal Being. Now, Nibiru, I think, is a better choice to have than Lava Golem or Sphere Mode because Nibiru is active just as long as your opponent summons five times, which happens a lot in multiple combo decks right now. Spiral is a combo deck that's really popular right now, especially that Crystron Hulky Fibrax is banned, and you know this allows you to have uh, a hand trap that just wipes the opponent's board. All their effort to make their long combo turns into a huge chunky space rock, so that's really nice. However, the only drawback here is that the token has a huge attack and defense, especially if you use it to wipe a lot of monsters. So you need to find a way to remove the token as soon as possible because if they attack using that token, and it's at least like 5,000 to 8k attack, maybe 11,000, 10,000 range because sometimes it happens. They can OTK you with just that token alone, so that's painful. Don't let that happen to you. And yeah, this is a hand crab, so you know you can run three of these, and it's really handy. So you can see it more often. Next up, we have a classic starter deck card, Darkhole. Darkhole is very simple: destroy all monsters on the field. This also includes your own monsters. So that's the drawback here. And if you're fine with that drawback, that would be cool because you know this is very strong removal. This is pretty much Regecki, except that your opponent's field is your own field is destroyed apart from the opponent's, and really handy. And it's a super rare, so it's really easy to craft, and it's a solid budget option. And if you're worried about your own monsters getting destroyed, there are some decks that can benefit from getting destroyed on the field. So you know, a lot of monsters right now have graveyard effects. If you want to trigger them, you can use Darkhole very easily. So that's really nice. However, there are other better board breakers, but this is a great budget option. You can run this at three. So that's the best part. You can have three of these and without flinching, and you could just blast their opponent's field. Next up, we have Regecki. So Regecki right now is semi-limited and it's really powerful. Destroy all monsters your opponent controls. It's very simple. It's a very simple effect, and right now going second, this is really great because you're just straightforward, just blasting your opponent's monsters to oblivion with this. Now at two, it's much easier to draw into, and if you're running like a deck that's filled with board breakers, this makes it more consistent because you have two copies now. Next up, we have Harpy's Feather Duster. Harpy's Feather Duster is great because it's generic back row removal. It can wipe an entire field of floodgates and field spells just as long as they don't have a counter to this card. So it's really great. And most combo decks that usually run at least one duster just to have at least one emergency back row removal in case they face anything with uh, toxic back row. So Harpy's Feather Duster is great. And although it's limited to one, having one of these is always great. Just as long, if especially if you have like a bunch of other board breakers with you, that's always great. That's really cool to have. And it's generic. You can fit this on any deck. You can activate this pretty much any time in your combo if you wanna do disruption. Really handy. Also worth noting that Regecki and Harpy's Feather Duster can be acquired in the solo mode. So that's one thing to note. Next up, we have Dark Ruger No More. Dark Ruger No More is really powerful because it negates all opponent monster effects. However, you cannot deal damage to them. So you cannot OTK them, you cannot kill them on that turn after using Dark Ruger. However, you can just dismantle their entire board and they can't really respond to it that much and prevent them from recovering next turn. So that's always one thing worth noting. Now, Dark Ruler Homer is really strong in this meta in 13 Season 10 of Master Duel. However, this is a card that you want to have in future formats because sprites and tournaments have a lot of monster effects, and a Dark Ruler goes a long way to just winning against them or just slowing them down. So Dark Ruler no more. I think I would prefer card that's on this list over this for now, but Dark Ruby Armor is going to be really powerful if you have the spare ultra rare crafting materials to get one or three. You can use this. That's really fun. Next up, we have Lightning Storm. Lightning Storm is something you can get in the Master Duel shop in a bundle, so you can get at least one free copy of this at the cost of like 750 gems. So always great to have. Now, Lightning Storm's condition is that you have to control no face-up cards. So, usually this is like the first thing you activate, or you activate this while all your cards are still set. So, first effect is destroy all attack position monsters your opponent controls. This is why most people summon on defense position when they go first, just to prevent getting hit by Lightning Storm. So, it's like a Regecki effect, so really good. And the second effect is Harpy's Feather Duster. So if you run like um 3 Lightning Storm and 1 Feather Duster, that's pretty much 4 Feather Dusters in a sense. Or 2 Regecki, 3 Lightning Storm, that's 5 Regekkis in a way. So this is really good to have and something that's something that you should have when you're going second deck especially. Next up, we have Triple Tactics Talent. Now, Triple Tactics Talent works as like a combo extender, a board breaker, and a combo killer for your opponent. So, when your opponent activates a monster effect during your turn, example, they ash something on you, they hand trap you, or they negate you with an Omni Negate monster, you can activate Triple Tactics Talent in response to that. And first effect is draw 2 cards, so pretty much Pot of Greed. So allows you to dig through your deck and find the right pieces to beat your opponent on that turn. Next up, second is the board breaking effect, where you change of heart them. You take one monster your opponent controls until the end phase, and that's really powerful because you can turn that monster into link material. You can just or use it against them as a beat stick. You can attack over, use the negate of that monster if they haven't yet. So there are many crazy plays you can do with this. Third effect is look at your opponent's hand and choose 1 card to spin back to their deck. So if they have like a lone combo piece to extend to, you can just remove that option away from them. So that's really crazy. So Triple Tactics Talent is also something that can be better in future formats along with Dark Ruler no more. And it's ultra rare, so it's a bit expensive. So if you have the spare UR crafting materials to get this, you can get one, at least 1 or 2 of these to test it out for yourself. Next up, we have another classic card with Mystical Space Typhoon. So Mystical Space Typhoon has the very simple effect of targeting one spell trap on the field and destroying it. What's nice, it's a quick effect, so you can respond to floodgates before they fully activate, so very handy there. However, this is only one spell and trap card in the field, and this has been power crept, but it's a budget option because it's a rare. You can just easily craft this early in the game, and there's really no problem with having this because it's still a really strong card to have, really decent one, especially if you're lacking in super rare or ultra rare crafting materials. Now, next up, we have super polymerization. I have a guide on this on my channel. If you're interested in looking up how to use super poly the most effective way on your deck, you can check out that video after this one. So super polymerization is at the cost of one discard. You can fusion summon one monster from extra deck using monsters from either field as fusion material. So you can use one monster on your field, one monster on your opponent's field to do something, or you can use both of your opponent's monsters to summon a nice little fusion monster on your side. And the best part is neither player can activate cards or effects in response to the activation of super polymerization. Really powerful. That's why it's semi-limited from the get-go in Master Duel. So if you can afford to run this, especially when branded Despia is very popular, this can shut down their plays. This can break their board pretty effectively at the right time. I mean, you can even break Dragon Link with this because Dragon Link has a lot of dark monsters and it just fusion summon over them. I had an opponent who had Boral End and Boral Savage Dragon on their field as their only two monsters there. I use super polymerization to turn that into a starving Venom Fusion Dragon. So keep that in mind if you want to break some boards. Next up, Twin Twister. Twin Twister is pretty much MST, except it targets two spell and trap cards at the cost of one discard. It's a quick play, so response to Floodgates. I think the only drawback of this card is the discard cost, because there are times that you just don't want to do that discard because you're discarding like a combo piece, something that kills hand trap, or any search card, you know. So Twin Twisters is pretty powerful if you can afford the discard cost. It just breaks two spell and trap cards on the field, which is really, really good. Or if you want an MST that banishes, Cosmic Cyclone. Pay 1,000 life points to banish a spell and trap on the field. This comes up really well in a lot of matchups. So if you're facing Sky Striker, they want their spell cards on the graveyard, and this banishing it just kind of slows them down, and it prevents them from triggering the three spell cards in the graveyard effect early. So that's really nice thing. You can also banish Eldritch traps with this because Eldritch, when their trap cards are in the graveyard, they banish it to get another trap card, which is annoying, makes them really consistent. So that's one thing you should keep in mind. Next up, we have the good old Forbidden Droplet. Forbidden Droplet is really powerful. Think of it as like Dark Ruler no more, except you have to discard to negate monster effects. And what's great is that their effects are negated and their attack is halved. So really crazy good card. However, the discard cost can be really steep, especially if you want to negate like three monsters going second. That means you have to discard three cards, and that's very painful sometimes. Resource management is essential when using Droplet, and that's one thing. But it's a really good card because you can still OTK when you use Droplet. So that's one thing that has its one thing that it's better at than Dark Ruler no more. And what makes it better is that you can get this in the bundle as well. So that's really cool. Okay. Next up, Parental Tribute. Parental Tribute is great for trap card decks because it works like a Darkhole. So when you can respond to an opponent's summon and then it just blows up their field. So you can time this in the middle of a combo, a crucial part of the combo where they need like an extra piece on the field, and when they summon that piece, they can't, and you activate Torrential Tribute and you blow them up, they can't extend further. So it's an old school card. It's as old as Darkhole and Regecki and even Duster. So this can be good in a trap heavy deck like Subterror, Eldritch, maybe Phantasm Spiral. So any of those Dynamorphia even really good on this. So let's go. Next up, Evenly Match. So Evenly Match is another board breaking card that gives up your battle phase. So Dark Ruler, you can't deal damage. Evenly Match, you have to sacrifice your battle phase to make this work. And if your opponent controls more cards than you make your opponents banish cards from their field face down. So they control the same number of cards as you do. So since Evenly Match is the only card on your field, they have to banish everything but one card. However, if they have a token on the field, they have to banish every card except that token. So if your opponent uses something like an Adventure Engine or any token generating card, They will have to banish every card they have except for the token. So really handy, worth knowing. And you can activate this face down. You can activate this from the hand if you control no cards. So really great going second card. Really great board breaker. Last but not the least is the newly semi-limited Red Reboot. Now, Red Reboot is a card that kills any trap card deck because when they activate a trap card, you activate Red Reboot and it shuts down every trap card they have on the field. Sure, they can set one trap card from the deck, but they can't use it on that turn, so it's still useless pretty much. So Red Reboot is recently banned in TCG, but in Master Duel it's at 2, and I think we kind of need it in 2 because so many trap heavy decks have plagued the meta in the past few seasons, and having Red Reboot at 2, having a higher chance of drawing into it is a much better thing to have. And I guess that's it for the best board breakers. Now, if once again, if you have any suggestions on other board breaking cards that you have, you can leave it in the comment section. And if you like other Master Duel content, you can check out my channel, especially if you're a fan of Cyber Dragon, because I recently made a branded Cyber Dragon video where you can see all the combos, my deck list, and how I play it, how to play that deck, and make it the best OTK deck to have. I also have a video about the best budget decks for Master Duel Season 10. And if you're looking to start your Master Duel journey and want a very affordable deck that you can learn and survive the meta, you can check that video out on the channel as well. And I guess that's it for the best board breakers in Master Duel. And thank you for watching, and I'll see you on the next video. So goodbye, guys.